Today is Tuesday, May 26th, and we're going to be reading 2 Samuel 18, 19, and 20.
3 chapters. All right. 2 Samuel
18,
19 and 20. Do you have 2 Samuel 18, 19, and 20?
Yes.
No, what do you have? You have Jesus tells about a patient father.
Well,
You have 2 Samuel 18? You do?
Other day.
Do you have 2 Samuel 18?
Yes, I do.
All right. So we've all found our spot?
Yeah.
As David mustered the people who were with him, and he set over them commanders of the thousands and commanders of hundreds. Then David dispatched the people, 1/3 under the command of Joab, 1/3 under the command of Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, and brother of Joab, and 1/3 under the command of Ittai the Gittite. Then David said to the people, I myself will go out with you. But the people said, you should not go, for if we retreat, they will not be concerned about us. Even if half of us die, they will not be concerned about us. But now you are worth 10,000 of us. Therefore it would be better to assist us from the city. The king said to them, I will do what seems best to you. So the king stood beside the gate while all of the people went out by hundreds and thousands. The king commanded Joab, Abishai, and Ittai, deal gently with the young man Absalom. All of the people heard that the king instructed commanders concerning Absalom. So the people went out toward Israel in the field, but the fighting occurred in the forest of Ephraim. The people of Israel were defeated there by the servants of David. That day the defeat was extensive, 20,000 men. The fighting spread across the land, and the people consumed by the forest were more numerous than those consumed by the sword that day. Absalom was encountered by some of the servants of David. Now Absalom was riding on his mule when the mule went under the branches of a very large tree, and his head was caught in the tree. He was left in midair. While the mule that was under him kept going. One man saw him and reported it to Joab, saying, I saw Absalom hanging in a tree. Joab said to the man who was reporting to him, What, you saw him? Why did you not strike him on the spot, sending him to the ground? I would have given you 10 shekels of silver in the belt. The man said to Joab, Not even if I had felt the weight of 1,000 shekels of silver in my hand would I have laid a hand on the king's son. In our hearing, the king commanded you, Abishai and Ittai, saying, Beware lest anyone touch the young man, Absalom. Otherwise I would have worked falsehood against my own life, for nothing is hidden from the king. And you yourself would have set yourself against me. And Joab said, I will not waste any more time with you. He took 3 spears in his hand and thrust them into the heart of Absalom while he was still alive in the midst of the tree. The 10 young men, armor bearers for Joab, gathered around and struck down Absalom, killing him. When Joab blew the horn, the people returning from pursuing Israel, for Joab held back the people. They took Absalom, disposed of him in a large pit in the forest, and piled over him a very large heap of stones. Then all of Israel fled, everyone to his home. Now Absalom in his lifetime had taken and set up for himself a memorial stone in the valley of the king, for he said, I have no son by whom my name may be remembered. So he named the memorial stone after himself, and to this day it is called the monument of Absalom. David warned. Then Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, said, Allow me to run and bring the news to the king, and that the Lord has delivered him from the hand of his enemies. But Joab said to them, You will not be a man who bears news today. You may bear news another day. Today you will not bear news because the king's son is dead. And then Joab said to the Cushite, Go, report to the king that what you have seen. The Cushite bowed to Joab, then ran off. Ahimaaz again said to Joab, Whatever may happen, let me run also after the Cushite. And Joab said, Why is it that you want to run, my son? There is no messenger's reward for you to obtain. Whatever happens, I want to run. So he said to him, run. So Ahimaaz ran by the way of the plain and passed the Cushite. Now David was sitting between two gates when the watchman went up to the roof of the gate to the city wall. He lifted his eyes and saw a man running by himself. The watchman called and told the king. The king said, if he is alone, there is news in his mouth. And he came ever closer. Then the watchman saw another man running. The watchman called to the gatekeeper and said, look, there is another man running alone. The king said, he is also bringing news. The watchman said, I think the running of the first one is like the running of Ahimaaz. The king said, he is a good man that comes with good news. Then Ahimaaz called to the king and said, all is well. He bowed down to the ground before the king and said, blessed be the Lord your God, who has handed over the men who raised their hands against my lord the king. And the king said, it is well for the young man Absalom. Is it well for the young man Absalom? Ahimaaz says, I saw a great commotion when Joab sent the servant of the king, your servant, but I do not know what it was. The king said, step aside and stand here. So he stepped aside and stood in position. Then the Cushite came and said, good news for my lord the king, for today the Lord has delivered you from those who rose up against you. The king said to the Cushite, is it well for a young man Absalom? The Cushite said, may the enemies of my lord the king and all who would rise up against you to do harm become as a young man is. The king was deeply moved and went up to the upper chamber of the gate and wept. As he went, he said, oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, if only I could have given my death in your stead. Absalom, my son. Chapter 19. It was reported to Joab that the king was weeping and mourning over Absalom. The victory that day was turned into mourning for all of the people, for the people heard that day, the king is grieving for his son. So the people entered the city by stealth that day, as a people who have been disgraced steal away when they flee from battle. The king covered his face and called with a loud voice, my son Absalom, my son, my son. Then Joab came to the king in his house and said, today you have shamed the faces of all your servants who saved your life today, as well as the lives of your sons and daughters, the lives of your wives, and the lives of your concubines, by loving those who hated you and hating those who love you. You have shown today that the commanders and servants are nothing to you. I know that if Absalom were alive today, and all of us were alive instead today, and all of us were dead, then it would be right in your eyes. Now go out and speak reassuredly to your servants, for I swear by the Lord that if you do not go out, no man will stay with you this night. And this will be worse for you than any calamity that has come against you from your youth until now. So the king arose and took a seat in the gate, and the people were all told, the king is sitting in the gate. So all the people came before the king. The children of Israel had fled, each to his tent. David returns to Jerusalem. Now all of the people began to quarrel throughout all of the tribes of Israel, saying, the king delivered us from the hand of our enemies, and he saved us from the hand of the Philistines. But now he has fled from the land on account of Absalom. For Absalom, whom we anointed over us, has died in battle. Now why are you idle to bring back the king? And then David sent word to Zadok and Abiathar the priest, saying, speak to the elders of Israel, saying, why are you lax to bring the king back to this house, when the word of all Israel has come to the king to his house? You are my brother, you are my bone and my flesh. Why are you lax to bring back the king? Say to Amasa, are you not my bone and my flesh? May God do to me, and more so, if you are not commander of the army before me from now on, and in the place of Joab. He swayed the heart of every man of Judah as though they were one man, and they sent a message to the king, return you and all of your servants. So the king returned and came as far as the Jordan, and Judah came to Gilgal to meet the king and bring the king across the Jordan. Shimei, the son of Gera, the Benjamite, who was from Bahurim, hastened to go down with the men of Judah to meet King David. With him were 1,000 men from Benjamin, and Ziba, the servant of the house of Saul, with his 15 sons and 20 servants, rushed down to the Jordan before the king. They crossed the ford to bring the household of the king across, and to do what was pleasing in his eyes. Shimei, the son of Gera, fell before the king as he was crossing the Jordan, and he said to the king, "Do not regard me as guilty, my lord, or remember how your servant went astray that day when my lord the king went out from Jerusalem. May the king not take it to heart, for your servant knows that I have sinned. Therefore I have come this day, first from all of the house of Joseph, to go down to meet my lord the king." Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, answered, "Shall not Shimei be put to death for this, because he cursed the anointed of the Lord?" David said, What do you, sons of Zeruiah, have against me, that you should become an adversary to me today? Should any man in Israel be put to death today? For do I not know that today I am king over Israel? The king said to Shimei, "You will not die." The king gave him his oath. Then Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, went down to meet the king. He had neither dressed the feet, nor trimmed his mustache, nor washed his clothes from the day the king left until the day he came back in peace. When he came from Jerusalem to meet the king said to him, "Why did you not go with me, Mephibosheth?" He said, "My lord, O king, my servant deceived me, for your servant said, I will saddle the mule for myself, in order to ride on it and go with the king, because your servant is lame. But he has slandered your servant to my lord the king. Still my lord the king is as the angel of God. So do what seems best to you. For all my father's house were but dead men before my lord the king. Yet you set your servant among those who eat at your table. What right do I have to cry out any more to the king?" The king said to him, "Why do you still speak of your affairs? I say that you and Ziba shall divide the field." Mephibosheth said to the king, "Let them even take everything, since my lord the king has come already safely to his house." Now Barzillai the Gileadite had come down from Rogelim in order to see the king across the Jordan. Barzillai was very old, 80 years old, but he sustained the king during his stay in Menahem, but he was a very rich man. The king said to Barzillai, "Cross over with me, and I will sustain you with me in Jerusalem." Barzillai said to the king, "How many days are left in my life that I should go up to the king to Jerusalem? I am 80 years old. Can I discern what is pleasant from what is harmful? Can your servant taste what I eat and what I drink? Can I still hear the voices of men and women who sing? Why then should your servant be a burden to my lord the king? Your servant is merely crossing over the Jordan with the king. Why should the king repay me with this reward? Now allow your servant to return, that I may die in my own city with the grave of my father and my mother. But here is your servant Kimham. He will cross over with my lord the king. Do for him what seems best to you." The king said, "Kimham will cross over with me, and I will do for him what seems best to you. Whatever you require of me, I will do for you." All of the people crossed over the Jordan, and when the king had crossed over, the king kissed Barzillai and blessed him, and he returned to his own place. The king passed on to Gilgal, and Kimham went with him. All of the people of Judah and half of the people of Israel passed on with the king. Now all of the men of Israel were coming to the king and said to the king, "Why have our brothers, the men of Judah, stolen you away and brought the king and his household across the Jordan, and all of the men of David with him?" All of the men of Judah answered the men of Israel, "Because the king is our close relative. Why are you angry over this matter? Have we eaten at all at the king's expense? Has he given any gift to us?" And the men of Israel answered the men of Judah and said, "We have 10 shares in the king. Therefore we also will have more claim on David than you. Why did you treat us with contempt? Were we not the first to advise bringing back our king?" But the words of the men of Judah were harsher than the words of the men of Israel. Chapter 20. Sheba rebels against David. There happened to be a worthless man there whose name was Sheba, the son of Bichri, a Benjamite. He sounded the trumpet and said, "We have no share in David, nor do we have an inheritance in the son of Jesse. Every man to his tents, O Israel." So every man of Israel withdrew from following David and followed after Sheba, the son of Bichri, but the men of Judah stayed with their king from the Jordan as far as Jerusalem. When the king came to his house in Jerusalem, he took the 10 women concubines whom he had left to keep watch over the house, and he placed them in custody. He provided for them, but he did not go into them. They were shut up until the day of their deaths, living in as widowhood. When the king said to Amasa, "Summon for me the men of Judah in 3 days, then present yourself here." So Amasa went to summon Judah, but he delayed beyond the deadline determined for him. So David said to Abishai, "Now Sheba the son of Bichri will cause more harm for us than Absalom. You take your Lord's servants and pursue after them. Otherwise he will find fortified cities and escape from our sight." The men of Joab went out after him, along with the Kerethites and the Pelethites and all of the warriors that they went out from Jerusalem to pursue after Sheba the son of Bichri. When they were at the large stone which is in Gibeon, Amasa came to them. Now Joab was dressed in his battle armor, and fastened on it was a belt with a sword in its sheath at the waist. As he went forward, it fell out. Joab said to Amasa, "Is it well with you, my brother?" And he took Amasa by the beard with his right hand to kiss him. Amasa was not on guard against the sword in the hand of Joab, and he struck him in the midsection, spilling his entrails on the ground. He died without being struck a second time. Then Joab and Abishai his brother pursued after Sheba the son of Bichri. Now one of the young men of Joab stood by him and said, "Whoever favors Joab and whoever is for David, let him follow Joab." Now Amasa was wallowing in his own blood in the middle of the path. When the man saw that all of the people stood still, he moved Amasa from the path to the field and threw a covering over him. When he observed that everyone who passed by would stop. Once he removed him from the path, all of the men passed by, following Joab in pursuit of Sheba the son of Bichri. He paused throughout all the tribes of Israel. Passed through all the tribes of Israel toward Abel Beth Maketh, also passing by all of the Bichrites. Once assembled, they also came after him. They came and besieged them in Abel Beth Maketh. They constructed a siege ramp against the cities, standing it against the rampart. As all of the people who were with Joab were battering the city wall in order to bring it down, a wise woman called from the city, Listen, say to Joab, come closer so that I may speak with you." When he had come near, the woman said, "Are you Joab?" He said, "I am." She said to him, "Listen to the words of your servant." And he said, "I'm listening." She said, "In former times they would say, 'Let them inquire carefully and able,' and thus they would resolve an issue. I am a trustworthy and faithful one of Israel. You are attempting to destroy a city, even a mother in Israel. Why would you swallow up the inheritance of the Lord?" And Joab replied, far be it from me to swallow up or destroy. That is not true. But a man from the hill country of Ephraim, Sheba the son of Bichri by name, has lifted his hand against King David. Only deliver him, and I will depart from the city. And the woman said to Joab, "His head will be thrown to you over the wall." The woman with her wisdom came to all of the people in the city, and they cut off the head of Sheba the son of Bichri. When they threw it to Joab, he blew the horn. And they dispersed from the city, each going to his own tent. Joab returned to Jerusalem to the king. And David's officials. Now Joab was over the entire army of Israel. Benaiah the son of Jehoiada was over the Kerethites and the Pelethites. Adoniram was over conscripted labor. Jehoshaphat the son of Eliud was secretary. Sheva was scribe. Zadok and Abiathar were priests, and also Ira the Jerite was priest to David. That is 2 Samuel 18, 19, and 20.
Bye, have a great day. Please subscribe. Hope you like this video. Please leave a like or a comment.